everybody, it's Wednesday and I am back in my studio, and today is the beginning of what we're going to call Tim Holtz Focus Week, and it's something that we're going to try out and see how it works. The idea is that today's live, I'm going to demonstrate working with Tim Holtz products, and then I have a class that's scheduled. I have one on Saturday and one on next Tuesday. So I have Saturday at 3 and Tuesday at 1. And it's a 2-hour class, and it's just a greeting card class. You're going to come and you're going to, I'll walk you through some of the techniques that I'm going to show you today, and you'll get to make a greeting card. And it's $10, and you get access to all the materials you need to make a card and an envelope. And so we're just going to see how that goes. And if it turns out that it works out well, then we're going to start basing some, putting on more classes that are based on my actual demos. So when you see me do something, if you like the look of it, you'll have the opportunity to come in and take a class and do it for yourself. So yeah, I hope that interests you. The class that's up right now is Tim Holtz Inspired Greeting Card, and it will be a greeting card, and it'll be a little bit like last week. I was at in Seattle and I was using the Halloween stuff. Some of that will be out on the table, but today is just going to be random Tim Holtz stuff that I either had around the studio or that has caught my eye in my inventory. So I've pulled some things. I'll go ahead and bring this down. Get this so, oh, I don't have my light set up. I just realized. Let's see. And let me pull up the video so I can see your comments. All right. Craftiness. Okay. So what I have, let's see if it's centered. Yeah. So what I have right now is and let's mute that. Okay, so what I have right now is just some watercolor paper, and I'm going to start out, one of the things I do want to work with today, don't drop it, is one of the Colorize Die sets. And so I'm going to prep by creating some background color stuff that I can use with this. So I've pulled some, I've got a couple of things. I've got, you know, the distress paints. I actually have some distress ink in a dropper, and I have some distress oxide sprays. Sorry if I sound a little croaky. I've had a cold. It is a cold. I went and got tested for COVID just to be sure, because the first thing I had was a sore throat for a couple days, and it is just a cold. But I'm in that I feel better but sound worse phase. I really do feel a lot better. I was feeling pretty crummy. All that travel, isn't that the truth? You finally get home and fall sick. All right. I am not going to complain about packaging right now, even though, come on, there we go. So I have some salvaged patina. My brain still wants to say savage. Salvaged patina. And I'm just going to start by squirting and not really worrying about what's going on. So make sure I didn't, in terms of what it does on the page. I've got a bunch of, greens, blues, purples, reds, lots of primaries in my distress inks, or my distress paints. So I finally went back and pulled some pinks and corals, and yeah, mostly pinks and corals today. Trying to think about what would look good for this flower. And I have not really thought out much about this. I'm just going ahead and playing around a little bit. Layer upon layer upon layer of packaging. All very necessary, I know, but still. Okay. So let me think about this. What do I want to do with this one? I'm going to just put down a wash of this with my my trusty old squeegee. And this is just my first piece of watercolor paper where I'm just playing around. So I'm going to put this down, scrape it thin, and I'm going to splatter it with some water before it dries, both of them, and see what happens. Maybe I'll get a little mottled effect. You can kind of see it already. That's alcohol. Great. Great, Angharad. Whew, smell that. So alcohol is gonna, all right, so this is a great time to talk about the difference between alcohol and water when you do this stuff. Alcohol has its own principles in terms of interacting with these things. And so when that happens, you'll see a little bit more of a, sort of a, I don't know how to explain it really, like a startled reaction, and almost like you've thrown salt on it. Let's see, where's my heater? Okay. And this is literally me just creating color on paper for me to cut my pieces out of. So the whole thing about Colorize is that you build your piece up with different colors, and I haven't really done much with these to be honest in the past, so this is me playing for the first time for some of this. Okay, let's see what happens if I just dribble. Oh, this is the package too. Okay. You hear the singing teacher next door. She's in today. You guys want singing lessons? She adamantly believes that everyone can sing, and she does her best to prove it. So if you're at all interested, she's very loving and accepting and encouraging to all people who are interested in singing. Now, it's worth noting there's some alcohol on this page now, so it's gonna interact funnily with what I've got going on with that. So that was an ink, so it doesn't have the oxide in it. The oxide is a pigment and makes it opaque. So what's fun about that is you can see where it's interacting with the blue I had down already. The blue is water soluble, the pink is not. You can kind of see the difference, how it's interacting. The ink is a water soluble. And again, I'm just going for big swaths of color that I can cut out pieces of my die cuts out of. Hi, Lois. Make sure I haven't missed anybody else. Nope, good. Just a reminder, I've got a class on the schedule right now, 2 different times and days to see. We're kind of playing around to see what works for people. I've got a Saturday class for those of you that work, and I've got a Tuesday class for those of you who are more flexible, and hopefully, I mean, I'll always schedule 2 if it turns out that that works for people, but we're kind of trying to get the temperature of what the best timing is. I'd like to get back to having people in the store every day for classes, back to my meetups and stuff like that. So, you know, working up to it. I've had mixed feedback. Some people are still very nervous about being in crowds, and they're fine coming into the store, but don't want to do events, and especially with the recent surge, I do understand that. Yep. Very much so. All right, so I'm gonna, sorry about all the depackaging. I didn't think about the fact that I have to open everything to use it. And this is how you end up bleeding on your projects, people, so do not reference me when it comes to the safest way to open your stuff. I'm not very patient. We're coordinated today. I'm having an uncoordinated day. Okay, so this is Kitsch Flamingo. This color here was Worn Lipstick. I have Dusty Concord, one of my favorite colors there. I have Rustic Wilderness, one of his newer colors here. And let's see, the blue was Salvaged Patina, which I did talk about because think of it as savaged. Savage. Now this is just the spray stain. So, I mean, hopefully you can see the difference. The spray stains are transparent, and so they're going to, you'll be able to see through to the other colors you have down. I don't know if you can see what I meant. Like when it sits on alcohol, these things are gonna clench up a little bit and bead up. Bead up is a better word. And not flow as well because the alcohol is in there. And this is also paint, and so this is acrylic, so it's gonna, once it's dry, it's gonna be permanent and it will act as a resist in a different way. This is a water soluble, so this will reconstitute and interact, and you can see that happening a little bit here with the spray as well. You can see I've got this purple developing. That's because this is water soluble and is dissolving underneath the pink and the liquid. All fun stuff. And remember, I'm literally just making a lot of color in order to cut the dyes from. So I'm not doing any texture. I'm just creating a sheet of different color to work with. And I'm trying to get it super dry because I do want to cut my die cuts out of it. And just a reminder, you'll notice in the comments we've got a link. I've got the 2 classes coming up based on this. You'll come in and we'll do something similar. It'll the picture is the one I did of Halloween, but you're going to have options to do whatever kind of card you want. You know, you won't have, basically what'll be on the table will be on the table, and you'll have access to all my dies and things like that. But it's not, if you want to use something I don't have, you'll have to buy it or bring it yourself. But I promise it'll be a generous smattering. You'll have access to anything I have open in terms of paint and color. And you'll have access to the ephemeras that I've got open, and like I said, my dies. You guys will each get some watercolor paper to work with. So for instance, I'm going to open this. This is one of the things I'm going to work with today. It will make sense eventually, I promise. So like you'll have access to the leftovers of that, and some of the, I'm going to be opening these today. So lots of options for the class, but you will be making your own version. It won't be, not everyone will have the same looking thing because you won't have all the same supplies. All right, what else could I add? What else in here? Let's do, this is Twisted Citron. And again, this is a paint. So I'm gonna add it here. Ooh, it's getting low. Ugh, that one. Getting very low. So what I'm going to do with this is, because it's getting low and it's a little thick, so I'm going to add some water. Check that it's water, and water it down just a little bit, because that's the nice thing about the distress is that they water down really easily. And I don't mind my paints being liquidy. Let's see if it helped get some of this out. Eventually I'll just add a boatload of water to that. So I'm just going to spread this out over the screen and try to get a point where I have some options for color. Cool. And now you can see where I've got some interaction with things that weren't dry. So again, getting some color interaction there, that pink and green combining. It's a sort of a yellowy green, so I got a little bit of an orange out of it. Let's see. I'm gonna add a little yellow. Ooh. Yeah, some of these have been open since pre-COVID times. Oh, that was a lot of yellow. Call me mellow yellow. And then I think I'm gonna add this marigold. This is dried marigold. The yellow was mustard seed. And this is a new color for me too. So oh my. So I do want to just tell you guys a little something about how the Tim Holtz stuff works. At this point, there's been, for some reason, there's a hold on independents being allowed to buy his stuff before he releases it. It's a whole political backstory to that I won't get into, but you know, I'm not allowed to bring his stuff in until he releases it to you guys. So when you guys call up and say, oh, do you have the new Tim Holtz? I only get to order it when you see it yourself. So if you want to buy it from me, you have to wait until I get it into the store. And the slightly bummer piece of that is that Joann's does not. And so everything that I sell right now, all the new stuff is in Joann's. And you can use your coupon and you can get it on sale and all that. And so I just want you to know about that, because I want you to understand that it's not negligence or oversight that I don't have it in stock. It's a decision that I guess that Tim Holtz and his distributors have made about how to release his products, and I'm a little stuck because I know some of you really want to buy it from me, and it's really hard to see it at Joann's at 40% off, 30% off. Well, I don't even have it in stock at all, and so, you know, just know that that's what's going on, and that you know, if you do really want to buy it from me, that one, just let me know, because I need to know that you want it, and also that that I have a standing order. It's always, I order it as soon as I can with Tim Holtz these days, but I don't always get it in a timely manner. In the meantime, I have lots of other people that I can have at the time of release, so you know, you let me know if there's an artist out there you really want me to have on hand when they do their stuff, and I'll do my best to bring it in. So you can see that this page has gotten a little schizophrenic. Yeah, hey Lois, thanks. Yeah, it's a little, there's a lot of backroom politics involved with it, and a lot of, you know, crafters are touchy people, so there's some little hurt feelings stuff going on, you know, with people not being cool about agreements and stuff like that. But unfortunately, a lot of people have been caught up in the drama, which sucks. All right, so I'm going to actually set this aside for just a second and let it dry. And in the meantime, I've got another piece of watercolor paper here, and what I'm going to do is do some textural stuff. So I intend this to be my background. This I'm going to use to cut my florals out of. So this I want this to be a little more subtle, and I want texture on this one. And so I went and I pulled all my Tim Holtz, well, not all, because I'm sure I have more than this, stencils. And it's worth seeing that I have brand new ones that have maybe one coat of paint on them, to ones that have been well loved but are still very usable, you know. But to ones that honestly just need to be retired. Like this is, you're just not going to get an impression out of this. And as much as I make a mess with my stencils, I don't actually leave it with gunk on it like this, like actual chunks. So that's someone in the studio being a little too comfortable with the messy stencil thing. But this one is I'm not going to get any sort of impression from it anymore, because even if I were to put it down and try to get these chunks are going to stop it from touching the paper. And so this is now going to get retired, and I will cut that up and use it for something later. Maybe I'll use it for a background and a tag. And it's kind of the same thing with this one. It's gotten a little too chunky and a little too compromised. So I'm going to retire that one. This one is on its way, but not quite there yet. And so, and you know, I do have customers out there who insist that they can restore some of these. So there are ways you can soak them and all that. I mean, in acrylic, it's just, it's a plastic, and because these stencils are plastic, you can actually dig down to the point where you can peel the acrylic off. It's just, these are so detailed, that's hard. So anyway, I'm babbling a little. Here, I've chosen these 4 that I kind of want to work with today, and I'm just going to create texture here and there on this page, and then color, do my normal thing, and then I'll choose a spot to use as my background. And so the texture paste I'm using today is Ranger's Texture Paste Opaque Crackle. I don't want the opaque crackle. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, opaque matte. Oh, right there. I knew I had it. Opaque matte. I had the crackle out for something else. So the opaque matte. I thought I had Tim Holtz's version of this. It's really the same thing, just with Tim Holtz's name on it, but I don't, so we're gonna use this. And so I'm just gonna take each of these stencils and create a moment with it, or two, a moment or two on this page, and then do my coloring thing. And I don't know if you can see how much this is standing off the page, but it really is it's coming on pretty thick. I'm gonna dry this for a second and then do another layer. Let's see, did I miss any comments? Thanks, Lois. I appreciate how well you know my store. You could probably tell me where things are, but faster than I can at this point. And you can see that I had that yellow paint that was still on there, and it's interacted with my texture paste. That I love that sort of thing, so that doesn't bother me. But I get it if it doesn't. If you all don't like that, that would mean being a little more careful with your colors, and wiping off your tools in between applications. Yeah, I don't know if you can see how very thick. Now this particular texture paste is bubbling a little under the heat of the heat gun, which is interesting. I don't know if you can see that. So I've lost a little bit of the crispness of the impression. I actually don't mind the bubbling. I used to hate it, but now I've decided that it's just another level. Here I'm doing it on purpose. I don't know if you can see it bubbling the edges there. But I kind of like what that does to the, it does dry very quickly, that particular paste. That's awesome. All right, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and start creating some color and texture. So that's, that was a Distress Oxide spray. So there's some, what's it called? That's pigmented. And I'm gonna go ahead and dribble on some Distress paint and add a little water. Ooh. And then scrape a little bit around that. See what happens. Add a little more water. Tip. Ooh, that's fun. Somebody just got very quiet over here for some reason. Let's see. This is the spray stain, so it's not opaque, so it will interact in its own way, but will not obscure anything. Try this layer up. So this is, this is my sweet spot. I love doing this sort of thing. And honestly, as a background, I could probably stop here and be pretty happy. It doesn't have to be particularly elaborate. I just want some color and texture, and I've already got some interaction here going on. I mean, I'm not going to stop because that's not my nature, but uh-oh. This is going to be a slightly longer demo today just because, one, I don't feel like I've given you a really comprehensive demo in a while, but I want to show you all of this. I have, let's see, I don't think I'm going to do the green. I'm going to leave the green for the, this is spiced marmalade. This is one of his oranges. I hope you can see right there what I mean by the opaqueness, how it's obscuring the color that was underneath. I can pull that color back a little bit by scraping away the orange that I just put down, or moving stuff around. But that's what happens. Let's see. What am I doing? Let me add a little bit of this gray and see what happens. I do it up here. This is hickory smoke. Again, I liquefied it a little bit, and so I'm just scraping it around, and what's doing is highlighting some of that texture. And now, since I have a little bit left on my squeegee, I'm just gonna, on my wedge, just going to scrape it over some of that other texture. Now it's doing the opposite, which is highlighting by hitting those high points in that texture. I just had a moment where I looked up and saw someone walk by the window that I haven't seen since before COVID. And I had a moment of thinking, that means I haven't seen her for almost 2 years, a year and a half. And I think it's remarkable how in some ways we've all sort of picked back up and are trying to get back to our lives, but we haven't really stopped to think about that. It feels like a lost year, right? Of like interactions and people and time, and it's so strange to be back to normal. I love, sorry, my two-track mind here. I love what happened there. Do you see how the what I just put down has interacted with the texture I have on already, and the color and stuff like that, and so it's sitting on top of it. But you can still see through, and that moments like that are really what I love about working with this sort of stuff. It really, those layers and the colors, and I love it when that happens. Really, really do. I am going to open this picked raspberry, And I'm gonna run and get some wax paper because I do not have any out. And I'm gonna have, I'm just gonna make a little palette here next to me. I'm gonna close my texture paste because it will dry if I don't. That's one thing I'm trying to be really conscious of, is making sure I get my things closed in between using them, because it's so easy to forget, and then, you know, you're wondering why your brand new paints don't want to come out of their containers. Plastic and some more plastic. Okay, so I am literally I just want this to be a little bit of a highlight, and so I'm gonna take my brayer. Let's see if I have one of those. I have this one. I haven't cleaned it in a while, so it's a little chunky, but let's see if it does what I want. It might. Yeah, it's doing it a little bit. So I just wanted to highlight, bring another tone in, lighten up a little bit. And so what it's doing with a brayer, I've shown you guys this before, it's just picking up those high points and you know, showing off some of that texture. And so at this point, I think I have something that has enough dimension and interest that I'm going to just dry it, and then I'm going to pivot back to this, and I'm going to do some cutting, some die cutting, and then I'm going to assemble my card. But I do want this to be pretty dry. So the brayer we have in the comments is a slightly different brayer from this, and I actually recommend the one that's in the comments over this one, because these ones, their little connections get really clogged, and yeah, it can be frustrating. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside, and I'm gonna pull out my handy dandy little sidekick here. Now, it has a suction cup on the bottom that you can use to put it in place. It works for a few minutes. And then I have my plates, and my experience was that the plates weren't actually enough pressure. So I have my shims that I've created, which will go, I'll have my sandwich and then on top of my shims. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start thinking about what I want to do with my Colorize dies. And this is partly why this is gonna be a longer demo, is because these are not simple dies. They're complicated and yeah, complicated. So you can see this, all of those colors are different layers. So if I want to do the flower, I need that piece, this piece, this piece. Now, thank goodness, they're smart. They've actually written on the back what they're for. So I've got flowers. I do want to have some leaves in there. And there's the leaf one. Ooh, this looks like it might be flowers. Flowers. And they even tell you what color to do it in, which is interesting. So I think they're just trying to match, for people who really need that, that guide, they're trying to match the picture that they've created. So I'm gonna put aside, flowers supposedly, some of them. I might not do every teeny tiny little bit on this one. Those are all the flower dies right there. Whew. So I am going to start by creating this base piece out of this yellow here. All right, and if this doesn't work out, I'll just I'll create something without the dies. I just thought having one of these flowers in there might be kind of fun. As you can see, I'm gonna go back and forth a couple times just because my paper's thick and all right, so what's nice is it does emboss, and so it shows you where the next layer might go. And so this is the second one. So I'm gonna do that out of this pinky yellow here. Oh my goodness. And then the spot that it will go on the base is defined by the emboss marks on the base piece that I just did. Let's see if I can get away with just 2 cranks. Nope. I do have these machines now in the store. I mean, they're here. I don't know if they're in the inventory yet, but I'm looking at the stack of them right now. They're white now, they're not red anymore. So, but this little sidekick, it's clever. It's a nice little machine if you want something to travel with, or want something that's a little less bulky and complicated than your Platinum or your Big Shot, then I recommend it. It's very clever. There's a Tim Holtz version out there too, which I have on order, but of course hasn't shown it. I will not complain, I will not complain. Okay, so this one is a little more fiddly in terms of getting the pieces out. This is where one of those tools would help. I have one of those tools, but not at my fingertips, so I'm just doing it with my fingertips instead. Let's see. Okay, so what's nice, and I don't think I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna do the whole thing, but it shows you exactly where to glue this on there. Actually, I'll go ahead and I'll do this part. Why not? In here, right? I'm just gonna do it with a little glue stick, just because it'll be easier that way. Or not, maybe not. Maybe I will need to use. So this is why we do the lives, right, folks? So you can see me problem solve. Looks like this one's actually going to take some heavy-duty Eileen's glue. So I'm going to come in and make sure all these little bits get glue so they stay down. All right, let's see if I can do this so you can see. This goes here. And I have a lot of dies that do this where you layer them up to make the flowers. And this is the only set I've seen that embosses the spot on it that you want, which is fantastic because it really can get complicated. If anyone has done an Ulta New version of this, you know that if all you have is a picture to go on, sometimes it can make you feel like an idiot. All right, so that was the second one. This is the third one. So I'm gonna go pinkier. So I hope you see how I'm just randomly choosing bits from the papers that I created. I purposely created a lot of different color on that page so that I have choices. You could have done it with anything, watercolor paints. You could have done it with stamping, or you could even do it, from something that's like this with texture and stuff like that. It's just, it might take away a little bit from what you're doing. Okay. All right, that one didn't cut as well, so I'm gonna go back. Sometimes it's hard to find, to redo it like that, but fortunately this one seems to be working just fine. Come on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it doesn't cut through this time, then I'm gonna put a piece of watercolor paper under it. Did not. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is put that back. And I'm just gonna throw just a little bit under here to add a little bit more pressure under the shims to see if I can't get that bit to, hopefully you can see that that created, it totally created more pressure because, there. And that worked. Okay, and these bits go looks like these are supposed to go like that. These are no joke. His Colorize pieces, you know, some of them get very, very elaborate, and so what am I doing here? Doing it like this. I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna stick it down because whatever's. All right, so the point is to make it, start building it up. So hopefully you get a kind of the idea of what is going on there. I'm not gonna do the rest of these layers because I don't need it to be that complicated. I am gonna cut, because I did do some greens, I am gonna cut the leaves right here. Leaves. Oops, sorry, forgot that you can't see it when I hold it next to me like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and build my card. I'm just being gentle because I don't want to end up ripping these very slight stems that we've got. I mean, one of the things that's so remarkable about Tim Holtz's dies is just how fine and beautiful they are. So, but the flip side is that they're a little delicate. Okay, so now I have a floral and leaf element. So, here's my background. Here's some things that I pulled in order to put on my background. Some pretty velvet ribbon. Some ephemera cards. What I don't use here will end up on the table for the classes, which is why you won't all have the same card, right? Because we will use, if I use this card, for instance, you can't use that card. This could literally be a picture of my great grandma. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh, I'm going to show you the picture that I have my great grandma that actually could be her. That's really weird. Okay, so I've got some options here. And I've got some elements that I really love that I pulled from his ephemera. How cute is that stuff, right? Fun. And I have these. I don't know if I have these in stock, but these are some of his sentiments, and I have his bugs. I have these in stock. You guys can choose from these in the class for sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna start auditioning. I waited to sort of cut my background because I wanted to see how where this would sort of work I kind of like it against that, to be honest. I thought I was going to be working with this piece, but I like that color right there. I'm going to hit that wet paint. Oh, sorry. I just realized you can't see what I'm doing. Focusing here. So I'm going to put that there, and I am going to kind of like it being a little young children. I like that actually with the teddy bear. So I'm going to go ahead and normally I do this with my paper cutter, but I just gonna, for time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this in a way, and then I'll trim it up later. Dreamer of dreams, listen to your heart's cute, choose to shine, enjoy the journey. I like that. And then this, and then, okay. So I like using this sort of thing in the background as a visual element. So I'm just gonna go and put some glue down where I want it. There's that. And let's see. Maybe this purple. Bam. What do you think? Look how easy that was. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my elements. That's it, 6 pieces. And granted, that took me some time, but yeah, that would be, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna glue this together. I have taken up a lot of your time though, so I'll do the gluing and I'll take a picture of it later, but I just wanna show you what I've got going on here. All right, if you're still with me, thanks for staying so long. It is, that was a marathon. I've been on for 50 minutes almost, which is a long time for me. I used to do longer demos, but kind of realized that people didn't have time for them. So I hope you like that. That was fun. Sorry, that's from like the beginning to the end, basically. And if you like that, the class is 2 hours long. You get plenty of time to do all of these techniques, and I will talk you through all of them. You'll get a sheet of watercolor paper to play with, and you'll have access to all my dies, so you can do whichever die you want. And then you'll have access to a variety of ephemera and little bits to glue down too. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy your day. See you soon.